One of the most common questions I get is how many reps or sets should I be doing to build muscle? Or I'll get this question, which I personally think is quite hilarious because it doesn't make much sense, but it's, hey, what do you think about 4 sets of 10? Or what do you think about 3 sets of 12? And the truth is it's impossible to answer that question accurately without context. So in this video, I'm going to set the record straight to tell you and find out exactly the ideal rep range for muscle gain. So let's get to it. Hey everyone, it's Coach John back again with another muscle building video. I like to drop weekly videos on muscle gain, fat loss, building confidence, energy levels, and a lot more. So if you're interested in doing any of those things in a more enjoyable and faster way, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and the like button. Also, just want to announce that my one-on-one consult spots have opened. So if you want to apply for one-on-one coaching with myself to get you to your goals, click below beside apply now, fill out your application, and we'll jump on the phone, see if we're a good fit to work together to get you to those goals. So before we actually determine what rep ranges are going to be optimal for muscle growth, we need to understand how muscle grows in the first place. Muscle growth is essentially a combination for most people of a few things. One is going to be getting stronger within a particular or multiple particular exercises and doing more volume over time. Volume is defined as reps times sets times weight. So your total volume in a bench press session, for example, is however many reps you did for however much weight and for however many sets you did. You're going to multiply all of that. Over time, you should be doing more. And then we want to combine this with proper nutrition and getting enough protein. This typically leads to muscle growth. Now, there can be some exceptions in the form of beginners or people coming back from injuries that lost some muscle over that recovery time, because this is really just a matter of recompositioning. That said, going back over to the workout side of things, we understand that more volume is needed over time to keep building muscle. We need progressive overload and getting stronger week to week, month to month, year to year. Notice I didn't say X amount of reps need to be done. Rather, we need to find a rep range that's going to help us achieve more volume so we can grow effectively over time without spending hours in the gym or without wasting a lot of effort. See, the truth is you can attain more volume over time by doing 3 reps a set, 1 rep a set. If you're simply increasing weight and staying at 1 rep per set forever, you are ultimately increasing volume. But again, it's just not efficient. And on the other hand, you don't necessarily just want to keep increasing reps and staying at the same weight, because what happens is there's a certain amount of stimulus we need to inflict on the muscle to cause it to grow. Keep in mind, ideal amount of reps you should be doing is going to be relative. It all depends on composition of the muscle fibers. Some people are more type 2 muscle fiber dominant, in which case they would respond better to a lower set of reps, and others are type 1 dominant, where they would respond to higher sets of reps. But there is still a sweet spot that's going to get most people most of their muscle gains in an effective way. We determine this rep range is going to be by also understanding that though you want a certain amount of volume, you also need a certain amount of weight or intensity to actually achieve that stimulus that's going to be causing muscle growth. So again, if you stay with the same weight and you build up to doing, let's say, 100 reps in a set, that weight is not heavy enough to actually stimulate muscle growth. You've now crossed over to a point of where it becomes more muscular endurance. And so that's not going to stimulate muscle growth as much as a heavier weight for lower rep ranges would. And on the other hand, as I discussed previously, if you're doing really, really low rep sets like 3, 2, 1, basically 4 or less on most sets, the issue is to accumulate enough volume over time, the weight is a little bit too heavy to where you're going to have to rest a lot in between those sets. And so for that reason, you can actually achieve the volume necessary, but it could take you a lot longer, sometimes more than double the time, instead of using the rep range that I'm going to talk to you about now. That rep range sweet spot is 6 to 12. Now you might be thinking, why did you take so long just to tell us 6 to 12? Because there are some caveats here. 6 to 12, like I said, is a major sweet spot, it seems like, for most people. But of course, that is still a wide variety in reps. Do you do 6? Do you do 8? Do you do 10? Do you do 12, 9, 11, 7? So here's the thing. So long as the majority of your volume is falling somewhere between 6 to 12 reps, and again, this is for people who want to maximize muscle gain, not necessarily just want to focus on strength, because that's a whole different story. When it comes to muscle gain, between 6 and 12 reps for the majority of your workout, meaning roughly at least half to up to 3/4 of your entire workout, is is going to be done within those rep ranges. Now, again, back to the question when people say, well, what about 4 sets of 10? Well, that depends. What did you do last week? Did you do 4 sets of 9? Did you do 3 sets of 10? Did you do 2 sets of 10? I don't know. You need to answer that question first. An arbitrary amount of sets and reps means absolutely nothing if you have no context. See, the most important thing here for you to determine your ideal rep range is to understand that, look, 6 to 12 is that range that's probably going to work for most people. Which end of that spectrum is what we need to determine. So what do? 2 things. One is you need to make sure you're tracking your weights, because the ultimate goal here is, even if you would be more ideal at 6 reps instead of 10 reps or 10 reps instead of 12 reps, you'll still see significant progress if you're staying with that same rep range and increasing weight over time. So again, an arbitrary amount of reps doesn't quite matter if you're not making progress steadily week after week and programming it correctly, whereas a maybe less ideal rep range but with consistent progression week after week will be a lot more beneficial. Because remember, muscle growth was determined as getting stronger in a lift and doing more volume over time. So rep ranges are almost not relative to that definition, but of course we need enough intensity. We need enough intensity, enough stimulus to achieve that. And this is where that 6 to 12 rep range comes in. It's been found that the amount of weight required for you to land somewhere between 6 to 12 reps is typically enough weight combined with those reps to produce a good amount of volume in the shortest period of time. So if you wanted more strength and muscle, you would actually lean more closer to the lower end of that rep range, even sometimes lower than the 6 rep range, but you would spend more time in the gym. And if you go up higher than 12, the majority of your workout, keep in mind, you can go within the lower or upper end of these spectrums throughout the workout still, so long as it's not the bulk of your workout. And you might see more muscular endurance when you're getting up to that level, but it doesn't mean that there's just a switch. If you go under 6 reps, it doesn't mean that you're not building muscle, and if you go over 12 reps, it doesn't mean you're not building muscle. But again, for the most bang for your buck as to how much time you're spending in the gym, then 6 to 12 is your best bet. Now, all you gotta do, now that you're tracking, you're gonna progress week to week because that's what causes muscle growth. All you have to do now is essentially set it up so that you can experiment with yourself over this coming year to determine what are the best rep ranges for you in different muscle groups. So what do I mean by this? Well, for example, with every single muscle group, you can start with every single set being 6 reps for the majority of your main compound lifts. And you're gonna do that for a few months, record the progress, track everything, then you can switch to 8 reps for the next few months, record progress, track everything, compare, go to 10 reps, record, compare, and then go to 12 reps. Now you'll have a pretty good idea. You can even do 7s, 9s, 11s in between, but the idea there is that you need to start to experiment and figure it out on your own. Don't listen to somebody who says, oh, 4 sets of 10 is what you should be doing. Why? That's an arbitrary number. It can be a great starting point, but from there, you'll never know what's better until you actually take the time to follow those reps and then switch it over for a few more months. And remember, you do have to give it enough time, so a few months is typically good enough to see some results in your strength. How's your muscle growing? What muscles are responding better at this rep ranges? Which ones are not? And over time, you begin to adjust and reiterate and refine it down to the rep range that is best for you. Keep in mind that rep range, for the most part, if your goal is muscle gain, is likely to fall within the 6 to 12 rep range. If you want strength, if you want muscular endurance, those rep ranges will be different, but that's not what this video is about. And I hope that I was able to answer that question for you so that nobody has to ask the question, what do you think of 4 sets of 12? What do you think of 2 sets of 15? Is that better than 3 sets of? It's very difficult to answer without context. So in this video, I hope I was able to paint the picture as to how to figure out that context and then work within it to find the rep range that works best for you for muscle gain. 6 to 12 is that sweet spot, but again, there is a lot of individuality that you need to figure out for yourself and nobody else can tell you about. So with that said, I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you found it informative, and I hope that you're ready for some damn gains. If you did like it, make sure you hit the like button, give me a comment below, let me know what you think, or another muscle building topic you want me to drop next, and I will be doing that for you. Also, share with your friends and subscribe because I'm dropping videos every single week, and I'll be seeing you in that next one. I'm out.